In today's corporate America, a quiet battle is unfolding, not between competitors, but between companies and their own shareholders. It's a power struggle over who really controls the direction of a business. And recently, the balance has started to shift decisively back toward management. Welcome to the era of corporate proxy wars, where companies are gaining new tools to block, shape, or ignore shareholder proposals, especially those dealing with sensitive issues like climate change, diversity, and corporate governance. For decades, shareholder votes were a cornerstone of corporate democracy. If investors had a concern about executive pay, environmental responsibility, or political spending, they could file a proposal to be voted on at the annual meeting. It was a way to hold management accountable. But in 2025, that power dynamic is changing fast. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, has quietly rolled back some of the rules that gave investors more voice in recent years. Now, companies have greater discretion to reject shareholder proposals before they ever reach a vote. Under the new guidance, if a proposal is seen as too similar to one voted on recently, or if management claims it interferes with ordinary business operations, it can be excluded entirely. That means fewer resolutions on ballots, less public debate, and more power in corporate boardrooms. At first glance, that might sound procedural, but this small rule change has massive implications. Over the last few years, shareholder activism has exploded. Environmental groups pushed oil companies to disclose carbon emissions targets. Social activists demanded diversity reporting and pay transparency. Even mainstream investors like BlackRock and Vanguard supported ESG proposals that once would have been fringe. But that surge also created backlash. Some state governments accused companies of pursuing woke capitalism. Others argued that activist investors were hijacking corporate governance for political causes. As a result, companies began pushing back, arguing that too many proposals were repetitive, disruptive, or ideological. Now, with the SEC's updated stance, they've been handed a powerful new shield. Take an example. A shareholder files a proposal asking a major energy company to set specific emissions reduction targets. The company argues it already had a similar proposal last year, or that it's micromanaging operational decisions. Under the new rules, the SEC is more likely to side with the company, allowing it to exclude the vote. That effectively means shareholders never get to weigh in. This new era of proxy power isn't just about climate or social issues either. It affects corporate governance at large, from executive compensation to board accountability to political contributions. Some investors see it as a major step backward for transparency. They argue that limiting shareholder proposals silences legitimate concerns and allows management to operate without oversight. If public companies can decide which questions they want to answer, is that still shareholder democracy? But companies counter that too many proposals bog down corporate operations. They point out that some activist investors file dozens of resolutions across multiple firms, often with political or PR motives. They argue that managing these constant challenges diverts attention from actual business strategy. So the debate isn't just about who's right, it's about what kind of capitalism the US wants. Should corporations be responsive to a broad range of investor concerns, or should they prioritize efficiency and focus solely on financial returns? Should small shareholders have equal access to the proxy ballot, or should that privilege belong mostly to large, long-term investors? Meanwhile, institutional investors, like pension funds and mutual funds, are caught in the middle. Many are rethinking how they use their proxy voting power. Some have scaled back support for ESG proposals after political backlash. Others are quietly working behind the scenes to engage companies without public confrontation. All of this points to one big trend. The pendulum of corporate power is swinging back toward the boardroom. This shift could reshape the next decade of corporate governance. Fewer shareholder votes mean fewer public debates over corporate policy. More decisions will be made behind closed doors, between management, major investors, and regulators. But here's the irony. In trying to reduce conflict, this new system may actually fuel it. As small shareholders lose their voice inside companies, they might turn to outside pressure through lawsuits, social media campaigns, or direct lobbying. And that could make corporate reputation management even harder. Proxy fights aren't going away. They're just changing form. The quiet procedural changes at the SEC signal a deeper philosophical shift in American business, from transparency and activism toward control and consolidation. For shareholders, that's a wake-up call. Because in the modern corporate landscape, the battle for influence isn't being fought in headlines or press releases, it's being fought in the fine print of regulatory filings, and whoever understands those rules best will decide who really runs corporate America. And in 2025, that power seems to be tilting back to the companies themselves.